Hello everyone, this is Charlie and I am back with another video. Today I will be talking about Supergirl number 19 and Action Comics 999. Before we get to that, I also got this week Action Comics 989, as I am catching up on the books that I missed during my my break. And I gotta say, these two issues were some of the best comics I've read in a long time. Very emotional issues. Of course, 999 is officially Dan Jorgen's last issue as writer of Action Comics. There's still a special coming out later, but this at least closes some things. So it's a nice one-off, done in one issue. So I've actually missed haven't picked up Action since I started to get back into getting the comics, because it was taking place in the middle of an arc, and I didn't want to start in the middle. Plus, the earlier issues were selling out quite fast. Actually, I'm surprised that Superman is selling so well. And Supergirl number 19, which kind of got some people mad on Twitter. Some nasty comments on the issue, which hadn't come out, just basically based on the solicitation text and a few preview pages of the issue. So I'll start with Supergirl number 19, because I thought it was a phenomenal book, phenomenal story. The art is really nice, but it's the story really that I really enjoyed, because on the one hand, it takes place still developing this last arc of Supergirl being hunted down by the DEO, and people really being mad at Supergirl, turning against Supergirl because they found out that Cyborg Superman, who attacked the cities during the first arc, is Supergirl's father, and he wreaked havoc, hurt a lot of people, and the fact that Supergirl has him imprisoned in a secret location. So I don't know what people expected. So yeah, the DU has taken over Supergirl's school. Pretty much they're all over the over National City, and Supergirl has been trying to do her thing, despite the fact that she's being hunted. And Supergirl's friend, romantic interest, Ben, has mixed feelings about Supergirl. So he comes across this user from the Catco app with a very positive story about Supergirl. So he goes and meets this person, Lisa Rano, who, and it's what got people really triggered. He identifies as what's the term? I actually had it. Non-binary. So Lee doesn't identify either as male or female, and that of course causes a lot of problems in Lee's life. At school, at home, and so throughout all this confusion, Lee runs away from home. Coincidentally, during the Cyborg Superman invasion. So Supergirl saves Lee, and Supergirl says some nice things to Lee, and Lee thinks it's just a line, but Supergirl sort of befriends Lee, and Lee realizes that you know Lee thinks Supergirl would be like every other person that has let like any other person, sort of says, I'm gonna help, but no real help comes. So Supergirl actually proves Lee wrong, that she does care, and that's pretty much what this entire run has been. Steve Orlando has said since he started writing Supergirl that he wanted to show Supergirl as someone who not only captures the bad guys but tries to help them. So that's where the situation with Zor-El actually falls. That in fact, despite the fact that Zor-El kind of lost touch when he became the Cyborg Superman, she wants to bring back her father from that madness, and she's done it with other villains as well. She rather talk than use violence, though she has had to fight villains. She really tries to communicate with them, and that's something Lil learns at the very end. Uh, but so Supergirl sort of inspires Lee to, take a stand and uh, and accept the situation. But really, the story is basically about Supergirl and how Lee's story humanizes her to Ben. Uh, Lee says basically that Supergirl is not perfect, and she does make mistakes, but she does it with the best of intentions. So, um, so, so that's what the story really focuses on, and even though, and this is what the story focuses on. So, really is about Ben realizing that he was wrong about Supergirl and wants to help Supergirl out of this mess with the DEO. We also get some stuff with Cameron Chase, who contacts Mr. Bones, who took over as regional director of the DEO, and Chase, sort of tells him that they have to stop Mokari, the apocalyptic scientist, from doing whatever it is he's doing. But it seems that Bones is perfectly aware of what Mokari is planning, and perhaps teases by saying, maybe Mokari is doing what I told him to do. So, of course, next month, next issue is the last issue of this run, which is sad, but it seems because a bunch of books are being sort of canceled, not just in the Superman line, but Titans and Titans is being canceled as well. Um, of course, in the Superman line, we got Supergirl and Super Sons that are also being canceled. I suppose, and it's not because they're selling well, but there's a whole revamp going on in the Superman line. So something else might come out from all the shifts that are happening with Bendis coming over and doing Superman. So we just have to wait and see where Supergirl's story ends up going after this current run. Another really good emotional story is Action Comics number 999, Dan Jorgen's last issue as writer of Action Comics officially. I think he might still be doing stuff for Action 1000. There's the Action Comics one shot that will deal with Luthor. But this again is, like I said, it's a one-off where we got two stories going on. One involves Superman dealing with Hank Henshaw, the original cyborg Superman, who he had sent to the Phantom Zone, but realized that what originally started as good intentions in handling the criminal element of Krypton by Jor-El was more than just cruel and unusual punishment. It was torture. So he brings Henshaw out and builds a special sort of prison for him because he realized the Phantom Zone is too cruel, and no regular prison could really hold Henshaw as well. We get a nice little recap of Henshaw's origin again, of how he ended up becoming the cyborg Superman, which is kind of funny because my first Superman issue ever was actually the origin of cyborg Superman, of how Henshaw became the cyborg. So this is kind of a reminder of that as well, picking up an issue of Superman, in this case Action Comics, where we get another little segment that goes back to the origin of the cyborg Superman, just glazing over that. So he builds this prison with the Kryptonian crystals, and so that feeds, the crystals sort of get reflect what's going on in a person's mind, bringing the good memories out of Henshaw's mind, the good moments, because Superman felt that once Henshaw became the cyborg Superman, he really lost touch with his own humanity, which is, I think, the first really deep take on Henshaw. Because when I read, the Cyborg Superman story, Cyborg Superman seemed like a lot like a very generic villain. Very much his motivation seemed very, one-dimensional. We had his earlier origin of the I actually have that story reprinted somewhere. So obviously, Hank Hensham's originals, the beginning of his story was in Adventure of Superman number 466, written and drawn by let me see, second. It's written and drawn by Dan Jorgens, and then from there he became a cyborg Superman. So by the end, his motivation just for revenge on Superman. So anyway, Superman found the most humane way possible to deal with Henshaw, probably hoping that he could actually reform him, bring him back from that dark pit that he was living in, just being the cyborg, and forgetting the the human side of him. The other story deals with Sam Lane coming over to visit Lois and John for the first time in years, and there was this very big rift between them. And the one thing that really caught my attention was the fact that they mentioned that the cause for that rift was Sam Lane's involvement with a secret organization, which I assume is a reference to the New Krypton story, where Sam Lane headed Project 7734, and originally that project was supposed to bring Kryptonians down, and then we had a bunch of Kryptonians because the meteorite city of the brittle city of Kandor grew on Earth, and then they left Earth. Project 734 was supposed to deal with the Kryptonian problem, with the aliens. So Sam and Lois don't really get along after that. There's a huge argument, and Sam decides to leave. The can decides to leave and not stay over for dinner, as that was the plan. But Clark shows up and decides that it's time to sort of bury the hatchet with Sam, and to bring Sam and Lois back together. And it ends really nicely with this very nice family scene. And so it was really, really nice, my story. I mean, I really like the art as well. And it kind of, again, what I liked about this is how Clark says the only reason they don't get along is because they're very alike. They're both Sam and Lois are good at their jobs, and they're a little stubborn. So the fact that Clark is able to bring them together, is part of what makes Superman great. And as a final issue, in a way, as a final issue for the current round, for the current direction of the book, it was very nice. Kind of reminded me a little bit of how, before the New 52 started, the last issues of Superman and Action Comics sort of showed, both how the legacy of Superman as it went forward, that was described in Superman, but also how humble Clark as Superman is. The fact that in the Action Comic story, which was the reign of the Superman, the Superman family, we're talking Supergirl, Superboy, the Eradicator, John Henry, still followed Superman and took the lead, and followed Superman and followed his lead. And at the end, of that story, the Eradicator sacrificed his life, and so Superman and the other superheroes and the Superman family could end with the evil Doomsday clone that had the intention of destroying the Earth. And at the end of that story, Clark tells Lois that he did what he did because it was the right thing to do, and he never really wanted anybody else to follow him or sacrifice their life for him. And again, that was a really great ending for that era of Superman. Then the Flashpoint came, the New 52, and we don't know what Bendis will bring, but at least this issue for me sort of brought again that the power of Superman, of Clark, of being again a compassionate hero, someone who just does things because they are right, and it of course stresses of the importance of family and the support of family as well. So two really great, issues. So I would like to conclude saying that what I expect from Bendis. I mean, he's talked about the meaning of the whole truth, justice, and the American way bit that he plans to sort of redefine for current times. Shows that Bendis, that's why I have a great hopes for this upcoming run, understands that Superman as a character is very relevant and always will be because of what he believes. But it also goes back to his very origins, back in the 30s. Superman, I have explained the whole truth just in the American way thing, showed up during World War II and then was taken away. That happened during the radio show only, the radio program. Then the TV show in the 50s took it again, especially during the whole, Red Scare. But in the comic, Superman defended the weak and the oppressed. So he was very much about social justice, about helping the little guy, or those who were righteous. There's stories about supporting a politician who was being blackmailed because he was, an honest person. He helped in young women who were taking over big corporations, help them, take control because, evil men wouldn't allow them. He raised an entire slum area so that, people would get better opportunities because of the environment. And that was something, a depressed environment would create, juvenile delinquents. Of course, he fought the Nazis in one way or another. For columnists, bad government, gangsters, corruption. I mean, Luthor himself was a sort of he wasn't just a mad scientist. He manipulated situations where he wanted to take over the world by affecting the economy. So that was Superman. That's the sort of things he fought for during between 1938 and around 1944-45, where suddenly there was a shift. Siegel and Schuster left DC to go to the war. Joining the army, of course, and other types of stories started to pop up, but there was still this sense about Superman fighting for the right reasons, for the poor, and all of that. So it wasn't until the 1950s that sort of thing was so downplayed. Then we got the whole Silver Age, the Bronze Age, where Superman sort of was no longer fighting for the little guy, but fighting big cosmic, world-shattering menaces. So we know Grant Morrison tried to do the same thing earlier in the New 52, but that didn't really last long. But the idea of Superman fighting for the right reasons, for really, true justice, fighting for the truth, you know, those things are what, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster wanted when they created Superman, but, that sort of thing started to slowly go away. So I hope Bendis is explained it quite well in a couple of interviews, goes back to the very heart of Superman, while he still fights the big menaces. Then I think it'll be a great run. So I'll just have to wait and see what he has planned. But he does understand who Superman is, and what he stands for, and why he should always have social relevance, not just for the United States, but for everybody, for various societies, and reminds us and inspires us to be better, because that's what, again, that goes back to the very origins of the character. So I'll leave you at that. Remember to keep an eye here, so because I'll be going live. I'm thinking mid-April, so I haven't picked the date yet, but I'll keep you updated when. I'll let you know when I decide the date to do the live stream. So I just have to say one more thing. Until next time, keep smiling.